And welcome back to another episode of Rebel Crew Flies Around and Does Stuff. Reverend DC here, and just wanted to kind of show one of my newer planes. Now, Rebel Crew is well aware that I love the biplane, so most of my space planes are actual biplanes, like by literal word. And most of them have these curved wings that kind of come into another slanted wing. It's kind of hard to describe, but they look really nice. And the problem with them is that most of them are 300 to 350 parts with a lander. It's kind of heavy and not great performance on any of my computers. So yeah, my attempt here was to make something that was just as viable but had far fewer parts. As you can see in the left-hand side under Flight Engineer, which I will be using throughout the flight, as well as McJeb, and I will get to that in a moment. But as you can see there, it's 186 parts, so almost halved the number of parts with a MUN-capable lander. And of course, as most KSPers do, MUN is kind of like the non-atmospheric landing baseline. Pretty much if you can land on the MUN, you can land on almost anything else without an atmosphere outside of, Tylo, I guess, stuff like that. So, so there you go. So we're just watching us take off here. As I said, I do use McJeb. I use Kerbal Engineer. This is EVE and Scatter that you can thank for the baseline files and graphics. So kudos to all of those. I don't have any mods for any infinite anything. Nothing's unbreaking. I haven't cheated anything. Everything else is within game. I do clip parts. And the logic behind that is that at this point, if you've been building in KSP for a long enough time, you've come to the limit of what your kind of design ethos is within the confines of not clipping. So I clip. To be fair, I could just unload most of the oxidizer, which would then allow that first run up to periapsis and apoapsis, I should say. A lot more fuel efficient and actually probably allow me to carry a little more range on the nukes in space. I did also lessen the load of the lander itself. Now there are some changes to the F model. You can see this is A Cray 2E. There is now an A Cray 2F, and those changes, you see me going inside of the lander while we're kind of getting our orbit ready or our burn ready to go to the MUN. Pretty standard stuff here. Not the greatest of burns I've ever done, but pretty good. It was okay. The antenna there, you can see it in the middle, but that doesn't change. But the solar panels that you see there have, and I've also put on a duplication of all the science equipment inside of the bay, cargo bay, so I don't have to go inside the lander every single time. It was a part saving measure. But I got some of those parts back by, again, removing the solar panels and adding in 3 RTGs instead. Less power, but constant. So they don't have to be out or facing towards the sun. And also better for long range journeying, where solar power would become less efficient, kind of out towards Duna. It's like, at that point you're receiving, I think it was like 40%. So, I mean, those 6 are needed. Whereas the 3 RTGs are constantly producing energy, and you can go into a low energy state for a long period of time if you have to. You can also notice here that electric charge total with the lander is over 9,000. Without the lander, it's over 8,000. So you're not really hurting for electricity. There's no ion on this. You saw all 8 of the Rapier engines, and you saw the 3 nuclear engines. Again, a weight saving measure. You saw those burning there, so then you'll see the solar panels come out. Yeah, those are gone now. There's also a couple of minor changes, nothing that would outwardly seem there. There is a single landing gear in the front instead of 2 now. Again, weight saving, not required, but probably a good thing. This got really annoying, so that's why there's now scientific equipment in the background. By the way, you're not hearing anything because this was a 2-hour and 10-minute affair. As you can see, it probably would have been an hour and 45 minutes or less if something didn't happen. Spoiler alert, something's going to happen. So you can see me here making my entry burn, or my circularization burn, and then an orbital correction burn to try to get me at least closer to the plane. I always want to stay within the plane because you can see the stations there orbiting around safely. And here we are in our Munner orbital injection burn, I think it is, something like that. So again, weight savings, I could have boosted the thrust to weight, but as you can see, it's still well over 1 for the thrust to weight ratio on the Mun, or close to it therein. I think he goes down to 1.35 or something. So if I really wanted to, I could probably land and take this thing off, but again, I don't need to. That's why this thing has a lander. There are some clipped parts here, as I said, and this, truth be told, is actually a biplane. The two big deltas, the big S deltas, that's actually a bi-wing. They're clipped in, not completely into each other. There is a gap in between, which is covered nicely by the inner wings there to kind of provide more lift, and as we will see later, is awesome for aerobraking. Here's my orbital angle corrections. Taking a nice long burn here because Kerbal, our flight engineer, will show us there that we have plenty of delta V to burn. Again, this is just a test run just to see how everything works. Might as well just kind of run the systems and run them through their paces, so to speak. So you see that here. Why do I use flight engineer? Why do I use McJeb? Nothing in today's world actually runs without a computer behind it, and that's what McJeb and Flight Engineer are. Flight Engineer is the console that I'm supposed to be looking at to fly this thing, and I don't have it inside the console, or else I'd just be flying it inside the console the whole time. Again, one of the bigger changes is I did put these experiments on the outside, and there's also 2 command chairs back there just to reset stuff and have somebody chilling out in the bay if necessary when bringing it in for landing. More on that later as well. Especially on missions around the Mun or other bodies that exhibit the same type of tendency, where it's dark on one side and it's very dark. The RTGs have really seemed to be a good compromise, and here's my quick save because it needs to be done. Here I am launching my lander for the first attempt, turning off all my stuff, transferring my crew, turned off my narrowband scanner, which is also in the bay, makes it a little more difficult to dock, but man, it is nice having that equipment in there. And you already saw the magneto boom going out, the goo experiments and all that stuff. All this has to be turned on because it's all turned off initially, obviously. And we have a nice sweet release and a gentle nudge out from the mothership, A Cray 2E, and we're gonna switch over and we're gonna land. Look at that, beautiful. Also completely not anticipated. Really wasn't expecting this. I thought it was cool to look at. I was like, oh, cool, they're in conjunction, sweet. Didn't realize that they're, well, yeah, that's me powering up, by the way, just making sure that I have full power. My solar panels are flat on the front, saving both weight, and really it's not necessary to have much more than that. I do, of course, overpower the engines. They are very light, so I figured the 4-pin balance is worth the charge it comes with in terms of weight. The little bit of weight that it does add, and it most certainly has enough power to get this thing down and up. Thrust to weight ratio on this thing is, well, right now ranging at about 13.69 giggity right now, so obviously no problem with the thrust to weight. This is purposefully a very light vehicle. Oh, what? Oh, it's Independence Day? Oh, no. I was kind of mentioning how it was really sweet that it was in conjunction. It looks really cool. And then, then it started to overtake me. And then I realized, that's an eclipse. And it's going to darken where I was landing, which actually was a kind of a challenging zone. I wanted to get kind of to the left where you see us going directly at right now, those little craters. But since it was dark, I really didn't want to take the chance of going too far off course. I should have made the burn here, and I didn't. I was like, it'll be just past it. It'll be fine. Just to that flat spot, and I did not do it correctly. I did not really take into account that even with a suicide burn of 39.4 seconds, that would still bring me into the crater right before it. I should have veered off. I didn't, and here it is in real time, ladies and gents. This is real time. Literally, the Eclipse overtaking a vessel going at 523 meters a second, and it's going faster. Space is cool, and this might just be a small simulation of it, but it would be kind of cool to see something like this on another world or another moon or something like that. But anyway, just thought it would be kind of cool to see this in real time. Again, completely not anticipated. Kind of actually was, as you can see here. Yeah, so you didn't really see this, even though it's on video and everybody can see it if you so choose, and you should. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see here. But yeah, I landed in the crater that I didn't want to land in. Walls are pretty steep, and that's the other thing. There are lights on this. You wouldn't know it, and rightfully I am going to go ahead and load that save, that quick save, and yeah, there it is. Not so quick a save. Great. Beautiful. So yeah, here for the very first time, spared you the whole undocking procedure again, and here for the first time, here we go, and we're going to go ahead and pick a simpler area. You'll see in the map here really quickly. Right there, really quickly, just making sure I was in a good area. Made sure this time, even though that Eclipse is overtaking us yet again, I just don't, it's not quite there yet. And when I land, it's just hitting, as you can see there. And it's kind of cool what happens here. So it literally overtakes us as I'm landing. So I got where I needed to be. I cannot see the ground. There are lights on the bottom of this vessel. There really are. Not on the bottom there, but they face towards the bottom, and you will see them. Again, we have to speed up the video because this was 2 hours and 10 minutes long total with the crash that never happened. It is beautiful, but it puts you in this very black, dark area. It really doesn't matter that there is actually light showing up. It's just dark. So that's interesting. Not even light is able to escape this black hole of a mun. Just doing my science right quick. Yeah, why not, since I'm here. Really like the stock landing can. I really do. With the two people in it, it's a perfect kind of control panel for that kind of just very simple, very light, very basic lander. I think this thing weighs in at about 7.6 tons total, fully loaded with fuel, which I didn't mention was 2,000 meters per second plus upon detachment. So it definitely has some range behind it if necessary. And here I am taking off poorly. I'm just going to go ahead and catch some speed here, just get into orbit a little bit. Very not correctly, as you can see. Did a very bad job, but this will show off some of the range that this little lander can with two people landing has in it. I do have other vessels that have 3, 4, and 5 person landers, but they are more difficult to do, and it does usually involve a lot of clipping. This is extremely little clipping. In fact, there was really none except on the very bottom where the battery is stored, which I would figure would be in that little, you know, aerodynamic thing on the bottom anyway, so I think that's BS. By the way, yeah, again, the sound is not there, sorry. It's sped up to sometimes 8 times, sometimes it's 4 times, sometimes it's 2 times, but it's always sped up to get that time frame less than 2 hours and 10 minutes. Remembering I'm doing this whole mission in real time, 2 hours and 10 minutes, so, you know, even for just a simple test run, this is not the easiest thing. Now, usually I'm much better at this docking. I did not do a good job on this one. I was kind of discombobulated. I usually approach from the front side. This one approached from a higher orbit. I don't know if you saw McJeb handling that. And by the way, I do not do rendezvous by myself anymore. I figured that is a computer run program. I can do them, but I've done them enough So I just let the computer do its thing. I will also do that for docking. Oh, that was a good docking. Must have been a different run. I had a bad docking during. Anyway, yeah, so it's not that hard to really just kind of maneuver it in and just right back into the bay. Put your like little windows out, move all your stuff over, and close up and get ready to go. And yeah, that's mission right there, yo. Mission. This mission gets over 900 science, by the way. And it's not because I run between various computers and I do not sync them via Steam. I kind of have different save games, and I move vessels that I wish to move back and forth through the save files. Again, a very old way of doing it from before the time where KSP was more popular, I guess, and more, modderific instead of built-in game, which they've done a fantastic job on. The whole team. Excuse me. The whole team kind of putting that together and getting it going, squad and everybody else like that. So thank you for an awesome game that still continues to be great. We're making our return burn, trying to do a lowest possible thrust burn to carry as much fuel back as possible. It does only affect the money, but what else? So doing a little bit of extra science, and I figured that was enough of that. Just kind of doing all the sciences and such that we can. I don't know if nope, I don't, because I've had enough of that. Again, version F actually has it, and this is why the big wings are pretty amazing. I'm just going to say it. You can kite in. So basically, you lift your nose up pretty good. You can see it right there. There's a good 20, 30 degrees right there at times. It'll heat up the bottom, but the bottom is very heat resistant. You also protect all of your passenger compartments that way. Basically, your whole bottom section becomes your heat shield. But the large side of the wings blocks the wind, so it basically cuts your apoapsis now to 1700 on a straight aero brake from one burn over at the Mun. No other burns were made, and yeah, you've already burned off 8,000 plus meters per kilometers in altitude, and now we're going to come in for another burn and get a little closer here, and I think we're going to bottom it out at about 100, I think it is. Yeah, a little bit less, and then we just kind of point the nose forward where it's more aerodynamic. You'll still lose a little bit of speed, but it'll still keep you in a now suborbital, and if you really needed to, you could boost back up to a low orbit in the 80s or 90s, and then just kind of go for the landing pad or the runway there. We will definitely be landing on the runway. This was a near picture perfect landing, not to spoil it or anything, but this was pretty good overall. Pretty good test mission. Having 3,000 meters per second or thereabouts is not anything to shake a leg at, and that is about what you are able to carry on this vessel with a takeoff. So basically, you can get into orbit with a lander that's capable of landing on a Mun or similar planet or planetoid with a single stage to orbit with 3,000 meters to go somewhere. That's without a refuel. If you choose the refuel, well, have fun. But I really like the ship and just wanted to do a test run. This was a good test run to do, and yeah, like the shape of it. And yeah, if you'd like to see more of these little Rebel crew creations out of Kerbal, because, every time somebody gets bored about something, Kerbal comes up, and there's other games, Guild Wars, there's, Assassin's Creed right now, of course, taking a lot of my time, but always loved the Kerbal, always loved building new ships, and this is one that just I wanted to kind of make a much better, a lower part, not better, but a lower part ship. The higher part ships do have their advantages. There's way more parts and way more wind drag as a result, but in atmospheres, but you're able to put a lot of more engines in because your nacelles on the outside are much larger, more like the Skylon variants, and your center section tends to be larger as well, just based on the fact that you're putting on more nuclear engines, so it tends to widen that out a little bit. And you can see We are approaching the runway and we are finishing up our video. Again, if you liked our video or you want to see others like it, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll be happy to put these up. Now, granted, this was a 2-hour and 10-minute mission. If I haven't mentioned that, I'm gonna mention it now. And to put this video together took a good portion of a day. So, oh, and by the way, this was recorded in 1440p. However, we have rendered this out in 1080 to basically super sample and give the nicest possible video we could at 60 frames. Most of it was sped up by 4 times or 8 times. So just realize nothing on these nuclear engines is fast. It's definitely fuel efficient, and it'll definitely get you there better than pure chemical, but nothing about it is fast. So just keep that in mind when trying to build one of your own. But here we come in, nice smooth landing, Jen Fraud and Meg Moore. Fantastic pilots for our trip here today. Oh, just kiss that runway. Kiss it. Yeah. As we come to a stop again, thanks for watching. Hope you have yourself a fantastic day. And please, again, like and subscribe. Talk to you the next time.